go ahead. So started the recording. All right. So basically, for those of you just logged on, you did not miss much. I just touching on the different types of traders. So the first type of trader is what you call fundamental traders, right? And what they do, of course, is like I said before, go on to this particular calendar and look for the specific times that there would be a particular type of news, right? I'll explain what I mean by that. And then wait to see what the market does and enter in the opposite direction, right? There are a particular type of platform, which none of you guys are on right now. So I don't want to confuse you guys with that platform, but just to mention how it works is that you can set a pending order. So if the market goes up, it triggers that pending order. And of course, it would, you set what you call a target. And once it hits the target, it locks off the trade and it banks your profits automatically, right? And it does the same for the opposite. So you can set two pending orders, two positions, and if it goes up and hits you and triggers your target, well, of course, you're in the money. If it didn't go up, but it goes down and trigger your target, you're in the money, right? So that is also a really, really, really nice feature that I didn't have luxury to in the beginning, privileged to having when I started. All right, so that is another platform called MetaTrader 4. All right, so we're not gonna go get into that just yet, that particular platform. But however, the four colors that I mentioned, gray, yellow, orange, and red. Gray means that there is a bank holiday, like for example, Sunday night, which is Monday in China. There's a bank holiday because you're seeing the gray, and of course it says that next to it, right? There's a bank holiday, right? If I scroll down, there was another bank holiday here, all right? So based on the timing, in fact, that would have actually been the same day, all right? So the Monday starts at Sunday night our time, and of course it ends on the next day at a specific time, all right? So I think they might have had maybe a 2-day. So this is actually a 2-day because it's actually Sunday and a Monday. So which is Monday and Tuesday for them. All right, 2-day holiday. All right, so basically that was the color code. The gray means bank holiday. Yellow, however, is what that means. If you put your cursor on it, it means it's a low impact news. All right, so there are specific times. So like for example, what you have is the time, you have the day and date, then you have the time that that particular news report is gonna come out. Then you have the particular currency or country that is going to be, the report is going to be coming out from, all right? So in this case, you're seeing JPY, which is Japanese yen. You're seeing CNY, which is Chinese dollar, all right? AUD, Australian, JPY, EUR is Euro, CAD is Canadian, USD is United States dollar, AUD again is Australian, NZD is New Zealand dollar. All right, so you guys need to, if you don't know what the abbreviation means, once again, JPY means Japanese yen, AUD means Australian dollar. These are your main currencies. We're not going to get into the exotic currencies like the South African rands and the Chinese dollar and so on, right? Those move very erratic, and of course you have to have a little bit more experience to trade those. All right, so let's go again. Japanese yen is JPY, AUD is Australian dollar, EUR is Euro, GBP is Great British Pound, USD is United States dollar, of course, NZD is New Zealand dollar, right? And you would see CHF, which is a Swiss francs. Those are and then CAD, which is Canadian. So those are like the main currencies that you would be trading. All right. I'm going to touch on that as well. Basically, a lot of people are all over the place most times when they go on the market and checking every single currency pair. But in fact, let me just touch on that for a bit. If you take once or maybe two currency pair and start to look at it on a daily basis and try to observe and pay attention to what the market is doing on the different time frames, I guarantee you over time, you would definitely be able to anticipate the move of that particular currency pair before it even happens. Because traditionally in the foreign exchange world or in the financial market, situations always repeats itself. So, and then of course, history would show where the market would have been rejected at, and of course, when it would have been changing directions, and how long it took, and what was also responsible, because that's something is very, very important. So, what is responsible for it going in a particular direction? So, you may see a particular currency pair with a long red candle, meaning it dropped drastically. And in most instances, it's news. So if you really check on that particular day, you would realize news are responsible. So yellow means low impact, right? So which means there are no significant movement happening or taking place with reference to that particular currency, right? As Australian dollar and so on. So you can go ahead and trade comfortably within the time of the yellow folder news reports. Now, orange, however, are the medium impact that is expected. Now, it may not even move an inch. The market may not even move an inch when that particular news report, like for example, Chicago PMI, it says orange folder news basically means that it's medium impact, so it may shift the market a bit one way or the other at this specific time, 10:45 a.m. And this is all Eastern Standard Times, by the way, guys. All right. For those of you in the Caribbean, Guyana, St. Lucia, British Virgin Islands, Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, who's a Grenada as well in the membership. So we are all in what you call AST. Right. The fact is, EST and AST merges and becomes one sometime around April, because there is what you call the daylight saving time in the countries that experience the EST, like in the US and Canada. And of course, they go back or pull back their time 1 hour. So when it's 8 o'clock in the US, it's pretty much 9 o'clock in our neck of the woods. Okay, so that is very, very, very important information, right? That's very, very important information, because what happens at 9 a.m. AST, our time right now, is the US and the Canadian financial market opens. The banks open at that specific time, 9 a.m. AST. But it's 8 a.m. EST. So the banks are literally open at 8 a.m. But of course, it's 9 a.m. our time because it's on the daylight saving time. What you expect to have happen is you don't trade at that time, especially the US currency or the Canadian currency. Any pairs that is attached to the US or the Canadian currency at that specific time, you don't trade it for at least 3 to 5 minutes. The reason being is that how the financial market works, where us in the Caribbean would basically go in physically to a bank and request US dollar, Canadian dollar, Great British pounds. I wanna buy $1,000 US, $1,000 in US, or 500 or 100 or whatever it is. You go over the counter and you request that, right? It operates differently in the first world countries and in other parts of the world, whereby you can actually do that on your online banking now, right? System that they have. So it's not totally it's not let's say non-existent in the Caribbean. Just a lot of people still tend to go in the bank and request the currency. But how it's done, there are requisites like, okay, I want some US, I want to travel to Florida, for example. I would put in a request for 500 US. and email a copy of my itinerary showing that I would be in the US and showing proof of my ticket of being in the US from February 6th to maybe February 10th or 12th, as the case may be. All right, so that's evidence. And then, of course, once it's accepted, they would of course do an automatic withdrawal from the personal account because you give them authorization. So that's how it works in the US and in Canada and basically the first world countries in most instances. All right. So what does that mean in reality? When the market opens at 8 a.m., all those requisites that went in, or those requests went in for the US dollar from the night before or even before the bank opens, would now come in based on sequence of requests. Right? So based on how they requested in terms of time, someone would have requested at 9 p.m. tonight, someone requested at 7 p.m. tonight. So of course in particular order, but technology allows it all to be processed at the same time. So then you have where mostly Thanksgiving time, there's a lot of influx of people going to the US. Summertime, there's a lot of influx of people going to the US. Thanksgiving, they go to shop. Summertime, they go to experience the theme parks and so on, right? So the one what you tend to see happening is that there would be a spike up because of the volume of requests on a daily basis for the US currency, because you're not going to go to the US with Guyana dollar or Grenadian dollar or TNT dollar to purchase anything. They're not going to accept it, right? So, but the people comes to the TNT and to Grenadians and stuff with US, of course, we accept it because it's a universal currency, right? So too is Great British Pound, all right? So that being said, that is the reason why I urge you not to trade at 9 a.m., right? For now, you'll be notified when the time goes back to the 8 a.m. time zone, all right? So when the Caribbean time and the North American time synchronize again, you'll be notified via the group chat, of course. Once you subscribe also to this particular calendar, you would also be able to get that notification, right? So with reference to the orange, once again, just to recap, would be a medium impact. So that specific time at 10:45, you do not trade any currency that is linked to the US dollar because you're expecting a news report to come out at 10:45 and maybe for at least, like again, similarly, 3 to 6 minutes thereabouts, let the market settles and climatize, right? There would be another report here, would have been another report on Monday at 1:40 p.m. with reference to the US currency, right? So of course, again, now, the medium impact is of course slightly more intense in terms of the movement, or a higher chance, I should say, of it moving in the direction as opposed to the yellow, or moving in one direction or the other as opposed to the yellow folder reports. Right? However, the most significant movement expected is a red folder news. So when I read, in this particular case, the Australian dollar on Monday night at 11:30 p.m. would have had red folder news based on the cash rate and RBA rate statement. So this is going to shift. It's going to have a significant movement one way or the other, right? So what fundamental traders do, this specifically red folder news, what they do is they wait at this time, 11:30. Most instances, that's their method of approach, because but those who has the MetaTrader 4 and are trading the MetaTrader 4, they would of course set the pending orders as I mentioned before, right? So a lot of times what you would do with as binary traders, you wait to see what the market is doing. If it spikes down, it has to come back up. And I will be teaching you guys as we go along in subsequent sessions on what do you look for and how long do you wait to take the market in the opposite direction. This is almost a pretty, if you know what you're doing, a pretty solid way to make some good money. All right, there was a session that I done, and I will, of course, we just got started back, and I would also be doing that on days and times when we notice red polar news. For example, if there's something tomorrow, you know, we would go live and send the link, and I'll tell you guys what to look for. And even those who are on demo, you know, and even those who never traded red polar news, you know, attempted with your demo at first. All right, so I'll show you exactly how to anticipate the move in the opposite direction and basically what time you're looking at in terms of the entry of that position of that particular currency. All right. So any questions, guys? Type your questions in the chat if you have any questions. Okay, feel free. Oh, okay. We have approximately 10 people on right now, including myself. So that's awesome. All right. So guys, once again, you know, try to not be late because, you know, it's really very important for your success. And it's really very simple. So Michelle is good so far. Okay, guys, awesome. Good stuff. So that is what a fundamental trader do. Basically, just look at the red polar, not the orange, not the yellow, not the gray. Red polar, and just enter a position with using the method that I just mentioned, right? So the other thing, however, that covers this. So you must always go to this first before you even open your trading account. The eagerness to go into trade and not checking to see if there's a red polar news in particular on the time that you're entering a trade and then the market goes out against you, you know, you would tend to, a lot of times people tend to say, well, this thing rigged and it's bogus and blah, blah, blah. But those are the key factors as to why a person sometimes, you know, are not successful in a particular trade. Does not mean you're not a successful trader, because every single trader has losing trades, right? Of course, is the risk to reward, which we would touch on as well. All right, so which is really critical and important. And then I will also mention as well as to how much if you drop into deficit, and what you need to do and how you need to deal with it. Okay, so once again, well, today's Tuesday. Let's see what's happening tomorrow. Okay, this is good. Now, tomorrow from 3:45, there's a few European news, right? The euro that will affect the euro dollar, potentially affect the euro dollar. But what is happening? What makes up the Euro Union, the European Union, is different countries, right? France, Spain, Italy, and so on. Now, so when a particular country is having news, it will not really shift the currency much, you know, unless there's the entire European Union maybe making a decision, like they did in Brexit, and that caused the Great British Pound to drop drastically, right? But however, at all day tomorrow, they're going to have oil news. OPEC, of course, you guys, those of you who do not know, has to do with a group of companies, oil-producing countries, I should say. And basically, they come together to make decisions on maybe the price in terms of production and so on, right? So basically, that would expect, what would that do based on the decision? It would affect the US dollar, would affect the Canadian dollar, one way or the other, based on the decision they make. It will also affect the price of oil, because you can indeed trade oil. Every Wednesday, there are oil report that comes out right here. It comes out at 10:30, basically, but it's 11:30 our time, okay? That's what it says here. So every Wednesday, the oil report, so you can trade oil one way or the other. If there's a higher production this week, last week, as opposed to the week before, because you always get your report for the previous week. If there's a higher production of oil, there's more barrels of oil produced, the oil price will drop. If there's a lower oil price, right? Of course, supply, demand, scarcity, that kind of thing, right? If there's a lower amount produced, the oil price will go up. So then sometimes OPEC decides to drop production and help the price go up. and they manipulate the market that way, right? For, of course, to be able to generate revenue for their economy. All right. So that is with reference to tomorrow. 9:15 a.m. EDP non-farm employment change. Now, this non-farm employment change is something that it is really, really, truly also very, very, very important. This does jog the market. It does shift the currency one way or the other, right? Now, on the first Friday of every month, which in basically this Friday included would be the first Friday in February. Yeah, there you go. It would be the first Friday in February. A lot of experienced traders live for what you call NFP, right? So on first Friday, NFP is the non-farm payroll report. What that means, it gives a report of the previous month, not the previous week, the previous month unemployment rate. Also together with the wage earning rate. All right. So what is that? What do I mean by that? If of course the unemployment rate dropped, that would send the US dollar up and even the Canadian dollar. So they also have their report as well at the same time. Right. So which means they're hiring more people. So which means the economy has improved from the previous month. That is in essence what that means. Okay. A lot of time, including myself, we make a lot of money on this particular. Now, you as new traders, I don't urge you all to at all attempt to trade this at 9:30 with your real account. If you want to look and see what's happening on Friday, see how it moves, see what your report says, and then you know exactly. Then attempt to it a demo account. That is fine, and that is what I urge you to do. All right. Now, a lot of times people stay away from it, but they don't look and pay attention. No, they on the right-hand side of this sheet, you're seeing in terms of the report, there's the actual, right? There's the forecast. So there's the forecast of what is predicted to happen before it happens. When they're expecting the report, they have a particular figure that they forecast that would, within that vicinity would be able to, in terms of a report, in terms of percentage-wise, right? And then there would be the previous, which is the previous period, maybe the previous week, the previous month, as the case may be. All right. So these are regular schedule reports that comes out. Okay. So if you want to look and see what happens, and a lot of times, like I say, a lot of people decide not to trade it because they don't have the experience, and they don't even go in to see what it looks like and what is happening with the market. And you could also be able to get the hang of trading it and use that way to make money as well. All right. Give me a second, guys. Yeah, cool. All right. So moving on. Now there are specific times per day as well, whereby you would be able to trade and get good movements, although you have access to the market 24/5. There are certain times of the day, which I would mention now at this point, that I do not urge you all to trade. And sometimes I see members are still trading, are still on the financial markets, like 1 p.m., 2 p.m., 3 p.m. That to me is a no-no, because there is no significant movements happening or expected to happen. Because all requisites and all main transactions, when you go to the bank, you go to the bank early in the morning or as early as possible. And most times it's morning half day, right? So all transactions would have already been taken place. So then there would be no significant movement happening. So attempting to go onto the financial market and maybe, yes, to do your technical analysis and what's happening based on history is fine. But to enter a trade is just wasting your time at those particular times. Now, why? Why is that? And of course, one of the reasons what I just mentioned. But however, if you look at this particular chart here, all right, both of them are pretty much the same, but it of course, it shows some in particular the overlap times, right? So both sessions overlap, and I'll explain that as well. So now basically the Sydney market opens at 5 p.m. and closes 2 a.m. the next day, right? We're seeing it's EST, okay? So in a sense, that is 6 p.m. On a Sunday for us, all right? 6 p.m. on a Sunday. Well, in fact, every day, because the market closes just like, of course, any other financial institution or banks, right? The Tokyo market open at 7 p.m. and closes at 4 a.m. Right, once again, the Tokyo market opens at 7 p.m., closes at 4 a.m. The London market, however, which is my favorite session, and I'll explain why, opens at 3 a.m., which is 4 a.m. AST in the Caribbean, and closes at 12 p.m., or pretty much 12 noon. The New York market opens at 8 a.m., and this is what I just mentioned, 8 a.m., which is 9 a.m., sorry, our time right now. So when the banks in the US open at 8, it is literally 9 a.m. our time, okay? And it closes at 5 p.m. Now, although the banks are closing this kind of time, you would say, well, okay, it's closing that hour. So, but like I mentioned earlier, just to stress the point, all major transactions would have already happened in the first half of the day, right? And that's why you would not get much movement. And if you are attempting to do that, you're risking to an extent, you're getting into basically unnecessary risk, right? Because of course the market can have a sudden jolt in one direction or the other, and of course spike you out of the market and out of that trade, and then you feel horrible. All right. I still do this to this day. I mean, I do test the market with a small amount, like $1, $10. And then I go in for the kill when, of course, I get my confirmation, right? All of which, don't worry, all of which I will teach you guys. Now, let's get into this particular part of it, right? 3 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, London session opens, closes 12 noon, right? At the end of it here. 8 a.m. New York session opens, closes at 1700 hours, 5 p.m. here, right? Look at this box here is where the overlap happens, where there is the most amount of activity taking place. That's why a lot of people tend to also go onto the market at around 8 a.m., see what's happening, and they get a lot of movement because the United States dollar, the Canadian dollar, the Great British pounds, the Euro dollar, the Swiss francs, they all basically have a lot of movement taking place and pretty fast movement too. So a lot of times you get to hit your target and you're in and out of the market in mere minutes. You see, Ms. Powerfully has actually early in the morning, she able to post her profits and so on, right? So because the London session, there's a lot of movements there. So the two main markets really and truly in reality are the London and the New York market, right? So those sessions in the overlap time frame, what that does, you will get faster, more movements, faster movements and more movements. So movements also with higher velocity. So what does that mean? That means that more strength one way or the other. It's not drifting down or drifting up, but it spikes down and spikes up. And that experienced traders love that because again, we get to make once we identified at what point to enter into the market, make our money in and out quickly with the bag and out. I mean, basically out and have pretty much the rest of the day for ourselves. So moving on, basically, like I said here, the Sydney session would have opened 5 p.m. So then right after the New York session closes, when the Tokyo session opens. So people would tend to want to trade at that time. No, right? So let's just say between the hours of 1, I would advise from 1 till about 7 p.m., maybe 8-ish. Don't go into the market, right? And pretty much is because the Sydney and the Tokyo sessions are not really fast-moving sessions. They are not much really happens in terms of unless there are news reports that will affect the financial market there, right? But then you also have overlap. right? So that's why I say 7 p.m., 8 p.m. kind of thing. So the Tokyo session opens at 7 p.m. So it overlaps with the Sydney session. So then you get some nice movements there happening. And of course, just like I mentioned with the New York, London session, you can basically be in and out with the bag again, right? So you load up your bag of money on the truck and you're out in a short space of time. So just as mentioned, the 2 a.m. is when the Sydney session closes, 4 a.m. is when the Tokyo session closes. All right, so while there's that overlap period where the Tokyo session is open for at least an hour, while the London session is open, so you can actually look to trade. And get this part here, guys. Let me start from the beginning. London session, you're expecting a bullish movement. You may tend to see the euro or the Great British Pound moving downwards, all right? We will talk about the different scenarios as to what direction to look for and what direction that would be favoring this time, right? So in most cases, you expect the GBP and the euro to go up in this particular time, right? When the New York session opens, you would trade the US dollar with another currency for the same kind of direction. But of course, there is another factor that is very, very crucial to you being successful and having very little lessons, right? When I say lessons, I mean losses in the market, right? We don't say losses, we said lessons. Okay, so yeah, so basically with the Sydney and the Tokyo session, what would happen is that you would have the Australian dollar, the New Zealand dollar, the Japanese yen as well. Those are the currencies that you can trade in favor of those currencies, right? So you would actually, the European market would be closed, the British pounds market would be closed. So you're expecting this to have a stronger movement upwards than these other currencies because of the fact that the banks are open here, transactions taking place here. All right. So Sydney, once again, New Zealand dollar, Tokyo, Japanese yen, Sydney, of course, is Australian dollar. And then, of course, the other currency that is in that same time zone that you can trade is in New Zealand dollar. Right. So when you're looking for trade ideas, you don't look at Australian Tokyo in the same session. We look for Australian AUD USD, Euro AUD or AUD Euro or Great British Pounds AUD or Euro JPY or Great British Pounds JPY. That's the kind of basically the pairs that you want to look for. So these markets are closed, so you're expecting it to drop. These markets are open, you're expecting it to go up. And this wouldn't contest or resist this movement because this market is pretty much closed, right? So you would find the reason why this is moving up, not because this is getting weaker, but it's just simply this is getting stronger because this market is open. It is as simple as that. Yes or yes? Everybody's good? Yes or yes? Gotta be good. Right? Guys, give me an 8. Give me an 8 chat. All right, Melissa, yes. Okay, good. Good. What if the trend is downwards during? Okay, yes, I'll definitely get into that, right? Michelle wants to know what if the trend, but they are fairly new people here, so of course I'm starting from this point, right? So yeah, the trend is really very, very important. So that's why I said there are a number of other factors. The other go-to guys as young traders, all right, basically you need to always also bring up the currency strength meter. It is very important to again to your success. All right, and just gonna I'll show you the one that I use most times. All right, and also with this I would copy and paste it in chat. Okay. All right. Yeah. So livechats.co.uk is what I usually use, and I just going to share my screen now so you can see what it looks like. All right, there you go. Now, this is called, for those of you new people, it's called the currency strength meter. What this gives you an idea of what currency is stronger than the other. All right, so in essence, right now, it looks as if pretty much these four currencies, the euro dollar, the Great British pounds, the Australian dollar, the Japanese yen, is all stronger than the United States dollar at this time. Right? It always changes. It don't stay the same during the entire day. All right. So then what you're looking for, United States, Japanese yen. The Japanese yen market is open. The US market is closed. What am I looking for? Sell. The currency strength meter is also in the favor of a sell. All right. So this is ideal for the sell. But when do you sell? Which is what we will get into. That doesn't mean that you're just going to jump in right now and sell and hit sell or put or lower, right? Right. So it's not just because of this. Remember, it's a combination of factors. Okay. So euro, JPY, it's the same strength. You can, and I mean that's for another session. You can still trade it even though the currency are all equal. So you can trade the euro against the Great British pounds, the Australian dollar, the euro, Australian dollar, Great British pounds, Japanese yen, as the case may be, right? But at what point do you enter for the sell, or what point you enter for the buy, right? Which is, of course, the million-dollar question there, right? So ever so often, what you need to do is go up to the top left-hand corner and refresh, because it does not always be the same. And look, as I mentioned that, look, the Australian dollar gained strength. So the Australian dollar against the US dollar, I would expect for a buy, because the Australian dollar basically is the first currency. So every time you look at a currency pair, let me just go. Right. Australian. Okay. Right. So Australian dollar against the US dollar. Now you're seeing it already moving up here, right? Now, that is not what I want you to stay focused on. What I want to mention is the currency pair itself. Any currency is the first, whatever currency is the first currency out of the two, that is the one that would be affected. So the currency strength meter is saying that it's stronger. Australian dollar is stronger than the US dollar. So what we're expecting and we're looking for is a buy, or an upward movement, or a call, right? Or a bullish movement, right? You're looking for an upward movement. But at what point do you wait to enter into the market? You don't just enter an upward movement. You see it's starting back to drop here. So what do? All right, we will get into that, don't worry. All right, so in this case, euro against Japanese yen. If the euro, we expect the euro to go up, of course, in value and gain strength. It's basically the euro dollar that would be mainly affected. All right, so we've seen a call, or let's just say we've seen a put, meaning that we expecting the euro. Let's just say we expecting let me put it this way. Let me say the Japanese yen gaining strength. Now you're not going to see Japanese yen going up. What you're going to see is the market going down. You're going to see the market going down. All right. So which means it's the euro dollar that is losing strength, simply because the Japanese yen is gaining strength. So it's not the euro per se losing, but it may appear it's losing, but it's just the Japanese dollar is going up in value. All right. So, and that is pretty much the same. Now, the currency pair are kind of already standard, right? Of course, if you guys are trading on the demo account on IQ options, you can click on the plus button and just select which are the currencies that you would pretty much any of the currencies that is available. You can actually click on it, and it will show at the top here. It will remain there. So then when you can just simply click, and of course enter, look at it, look at the market, and determine where it's going, and of course enter in that particular direction. All right. So It may or may not go any direction. That happens. But of course, those are the things that I will teach you guys on how to anticipate. And if, of course, what you expect, it doesn't happen, how again do you able to deal with that? All right. So those are key factors. All right, guys. So currency strength meter. Refresh ever so often. What happened? See again what I meant? The euro, Great British pounds, Australian dollar, Japanese yen, when I first opened this, was all the same strength. Look what happened now. Great British pound lost strength. Australian dollar gained strength. Now, the amount of bars that is total in this particular currency strength is 6 bars. None of the currency basically has 6 bars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The highest is 5. And that's with the Australian dollar. So we're expecting the Australian dollar to go up in value against the United States dollar. All right. So again, that's only one factor. But once you check this and you're going into yours, before you actually open a trade, you should always refill. All right. Australian dollar going up. Right now, this is Australian dollar against the United States dollar. See, it's going up. Has been not going up only just here. Has been going up from all the way here. And this was all an upward movement. We don't look at the pullback when we're looking at the trend. All right. So Michelle mentioned the trend. So I would not bring that up. That's another topic. I would not bring that up. But Michelle is fairly experienced. So I'm just going to mention it. All right. So you guys don't have to lock this in memory. But yes, it is ideal if it is that your trend is an upward trend. The currency, the currency strength saying that is that particular first currency is also stronger in the currency strength meter, right? So that's two things that is in the favor for the upward movement, all right? And of course, the fact is your area of value would be your trend line. It pulls back, it touches the trend line. You're always looking for a buy or an upward or a bullish movement. All right, so the trend is critical and important. And you guys would hear me saying numerous times together with some of the other educators that the trend is your friend. All right. So that's basically it, guys. I don't want to confuse you guys with too much. I don't want to, overload you guys as well. So of course, once you have gone through your videos again, you can also go through your videos and simultaneously be practicing on the market. But of course, it's not a case of when the market is expected to go up, or you just assume that it's going to go up or it's going to go down. It does not work like that. What I done here was I put a line here, and I think that based on what I'm seeing, if the market does touch here, it can potentially go up, and I'm looking for a buy. So I'm waiting for a pullback down here. I'm not going to enter a buy right now. This momentum already took off. It can pull back. When I enter a buy, it can very well pull back. So then I can very well lose this trade idea, right? So I want to see it pull back to this line. So it may or may not. It may or may not. So you can wait and observe, right? But when this line triggers, you will get a notification via email. And if you're still on the market, you would also see it. And even if you're not on this particular currency pair, when it reaches back here, you would still be seeing it popping up. Let me just see if I can demonstrate what I mean. So I just put an alert, what you call an alert there. And if it touches it, you'll see what happens. Or if it breaks through it, you'll see what happens. All right. Let's see. It seems to be losing strength basically. So from this point, it could potentially drop, right? But we need to wait. We need to get confirmation. All those are terms that you would hear. But again, if you go through your videos, you may already know it. If you have gone through your videos, you probably already know that term, right? So it broke the alert. It actually brought it up here, price to reach at 71443. I would have gotten an email notification as well. I would have gotten an email notification. So even if I am out on the road, I can actually go into my brokerage account from on my phone and enter this trade idea. That is how phenomenal this is. You don't necessarily have to be locked down to your PC or laptop or your tab or iPad all the time at home. Right? There was one time I made a couple $1,000 and I was actually going to the movies and I was already having dinner. But when I got the alert, I entered the trade ID on the phone, and I snapshot and posted it. So people ask me if I'm on the market at this time at home, and I snapshot the dinner table, and I show the movie tickets. So and then I made a pretty healthy sum because I was waiting for that. I know that was a solid price zone or solid resistant price because it was basically looking at a sell. All right, so term resistance support and stuff is what you would also hear if you have already gone through your videos. You would know it, but then I will be breaking it down, all right, so that you would be able to understand and of course put it to use and put it into a perspective, pretty much to know exactly or to have an idea what the market intends to do. All right, there's so much, and it's really so very exciting. Really and truly, this can also be addictive. When I merge some of the groups, and from time to time I'll be merging the groups, you guys will be actually seeing, you know, a number of different people on. You will actually hear me saying that we don't need no coffee. This is our caffeine. All right. So because the fact is, you're making money. You're home. You know, before you go to bed, you'll make money. When you get up in the morning, you make money, whatever time of day or night. Of course, based on what I mentioned too as well, always remember that specific time between typically 1 p.m. to around 7 p.m. You do not go on the market, but if you do, it would be, of course, just to check, do some analysis, pull some lines, and determine the direction of the market. All right, guys. I would look into getting into another session. So while you guys, this is still fresh in your mind, I will probably look into feasibility at time for tomorrow, same time, 8 o'clock, and get into another session to tie this into what the other topics take, right? So guys, if you gotten some value out of this, give me an 888 in the chat. Thank you so much for coming out. All right. Right. Awesome. All right. Great. All right. So guys, we definitely, anybody else got some value out of this session, please 888 in the chat. Great. All right. So guys, exciting times ahead. 2021 can be phenomenal. It's going to be phenomenal. You got to do your part. Of course, stay consistent, stay disciplined, stay focused. All right. The truth is, like I said, there's bad news and there's good news. What I always tell people, the bad news is time flies. The good news is we are the pilot. We are the pilot. We are in control. Time flies. What you do with your time is what can determine your rate of success. So time flies, yes, you are the pilot. That's the bottom line. What I mean by that is you've got to stay committed to your dreams and goals. It's as simple as that, guys. Right? It's as simple as that. And this, there's nothing like it, nothing else like it. So you stick with this for anywhere between 3 to 6 months, longer the better. Because I am still learning. For as much as I know, I'm still learning. Some people find that surprising. Right? You see, this morning I posted only some of my profit because what I do, I open multiple platforms. I have about 7 different platforms that I'm trading on. I open all, I have them on the lowest taskbar, and I bring them all up from one at a time and enter the same position. So I'm actually pumping all of my accounts. You would eventually be able to do that. You build one, you transfer some from that one to another one, and of course you trade those different accounts. But what I tend to tell the newer people is, of course, hit your target on your first account, close that. Hit your target on your second account, close that. Right? So once you have multiple accounts, that's the way you should attempt it. To attempt to hold one because and open positions on all, like I just mentioned. But it comes with time and experience. Okay. So that being said, guys, thank you once again for logging on. Of course, remember to impact lives. Put people first. Of course, I realized when I started helping people to improve their standard of living, doors started opening up for me. Like, wow. All right. And it would be the same for you. Don't deprive yourself also of that passive income. Warren Buffett says if you don't find a way to earn an income while you're asleep, you're probably going to work on for the rest of your life or and remain broke. All right. So As much as you would say, well, I would want to learn one and then do the other. You can multitask. I mean, we've got kids who are literally doing multiple things and generate multiple streams of income. We have a 9-year-old who's a YouTube toy critic, is literally a multi-millionaire, right? You can also become an affiliate. All these brokers have affiliate programs, right? The academy which you're on, they have an affiliate program. So you would have an access link. So you can submit your link, get those people, impact their lives, get them this opportunity. A lot of people say they want to learn it first and then, of course, share the opportunity. But little do you know, when you share the opportunity with someone, that person may join with you and help you also, because the fact is they may even move faster than you, because we've seen it happen. I've seen it happen several times. And then you'll be compensated for it. So then what happens? You take that money that you would get, or your commissions, which you'll get paid, by the way, in US dollars if you don't know that. And then you take that and put it and pump it in, or part of it, into your trading account. What do? You're boosting the trading account. And for the figures that I would have shown you, because of the fact that you're adding money on a monthly basis, let's just say you get yourself 1,000 per month. You've registered to people, and you're getting 1,000 US per month. I mean, that everyone could do it another 1,000 US, or at least 1,000 US additional money, right, from their regular source. And you take 500 and you pump that into your trading account every month. You would grow your account faster, because your 1 to 2% is not going to be on 100. Your 1 to 2% might be on 600. Your 1 to 2% might be on, right, as the case may be, 1,100, because you're adding 500 every month. But it shouldn't be on 600 or 1,100, because the fact is also during the week, you're actually growing that account. But you're adding to it at the end of every week, because you're being paid, in the case of 1,000 US per month, you're being paid 250. So put that to work for you. People make money, but they don't put money to work for them. And I keep saying that money is the best employee. So you take that, and what they tend to do is take that and go spend it and buy their cosmetics and whatever, and jewelry and so on. But if you take part of that and you put it into your brokerage account and you start multiplying it, you're getting to the point of becoming an investor, because that is what you call an investor mindset. You got it? All right. Good stuff, guys. Take care. All the best to you. Have a blessed night. More than likely, I'll put out, once I can, I'll put out the notification of Miss Powerfully. Right. I'll also, if she's on, I'd like to take the opportunity to thank her for again inviting me to do the session with you guys. All right. I'm actually doing multiple sessions. I have members in Dubai, South Africa, Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, all over. So there's different time zones. Sometimes I'm even up at 1 a.m. and so on. But I'm training leaders in those countries, so they know at the point where they're actually doing the training themselves. So I'm actually, so same similarly with you guys. Once we help you guys to get to the point, then of course you guys jump on and start helping us help others. All right, and then of course we help you grow too, because I powerfully actually, when she gets people to register, she actually gives the registration. She don't take it, she gives it to other people. All right, so you would be able to benefit. But of course, we want to see the effort. You know, she would want to see the effort, of sharing the opportunity, and of course wanting to help the others on the group and putting regular notifications and being active. I want you to show that you're interested, of course, and you're interacting and so on. And we see that level of urgency, eagerness, excitement and stuff. Of course, we always support people, because we don't, a lot of times people come in for 1 month and then they just hop back off, and all our training go in vain. All right, so guys, take care. Blessed night once again. See you guys at the top, but not from the top, because the bottom is way too crowded. Also, guys, because of this industry, the sky is no longer the limit. It's just another level. All right, take care. Bye now.